I'm sitting with Caroline Mazel-Carlton, who is in Massachusetts right now. Hi, Caroline.
Hi, Emma.
I'm delighted that you're willing to speak a little bit with us today. And I want to introduce you as the Director of Training at the Western Mass Recovery Learning Community in Western Mass. So I know you're doing a lot of training, a lot of wonderful work, and I'm most interested in having you speak to us today about how you've used the training as a spiritual emergence coach in the work that you're doing.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm happy to talk about that. I think it's so important to be able to integrate conversations about spirituality, culture, ancestral wisdom traditions, when we're supporting folks no matter the setting. Um, I'm someone that has been excited to bring more dialogue about this to settings that range from like groups in community, spiritual exploration groups, also groups in long-term psychiatric settings, mixed forensic settings. Um, I think this is also a place where conversations about heart and spirit and some of the intensity that connections with ancestors and spirits can bring is so valuable. So certainly, there have been times where what a person really needed was not more Seroquel, but to have conversations about what does it mean to be like awakened or initiated as a healer or a shaman. Um, I can think of a lot of specific times where people are having vision states or energy surges that it's helpful for me to have a broad base of knowledge about how common these experiences have been throughout time and to be comfortable looking at them through different lenses than just what the Western medical model provides. And certainly, I'll also own, I'm someone who has had intense spiritual experiences of my own, hearing things others did not, seeing things like fire, and the medical model lens was less helpful for me. And when we can widen our lens, which spiritual emergence training allows us to do, what we can find is that we also embedded in a lot of these wisdom traditions are a lot of great tools that we can use to navigate our experience beyond just the pharmaceutical drugs that I was mostly given in the system. Another thing that I'll offer that I think is important is I am someone, I walk a Jewish path. I'm someone that leads services in the synagogue and also designs ritual based on like Hebrew wisdom tradition that I do outside of religious buildings, more in my home. In Judaism, we call this like a havara. And what I think is that I would encourage people that maybe aren't in peer support roles or mental health system roles, but maybe you are a clergy person or active in your synagogue or mosque or church. I would also encourage those folks to consider looking at spiritual emergence training and text because I think, for example, I'm someone that's like pursuing ordination right now. We do a really good job of like reading prophetic works and studying history in some of those ordination programs. But sometimes we're not prepared to say support people who in the here and now are having these really intense experiences that like are written about in like the book of Jeremiah or Elijah. But it is still happening for people. And our spiritual communities need to be places where we, as the Torah says, we welcome the stranger, where we welcome those that might be going through states that are more extreme than what we've navigated. So I hope that more clergy will consider this training. In the training, I was encouraged to find principles of intentional peer support used. What I like about that is I think the world is really calling us towards a new style of spiritual leadership. I think for a lot of years, spiritual leadership kind of meant telling people what to do, interpreting texts for them, kind of coming from a place of power over. And what I think we're shifting towards, or what I'm hoping to see us shift towards, is spiritual leadership that really like walks beside people, that understands that, to use my phrase, like God is still speaking to and through people. So as spiritual leaders, often it's more important to have a question than it is to have an answer. And I think that this training is a way to sort of dialogue with people about what that looks like, and actually not just talk about it, do it, because there's role plays in the class.
Well, thank you so much for your perspective. I appreciate it. And I also feel like I want to talk to this woman longer about what she's doing. So I hope we'll have an opportunity to do that, Caroline. And thank you so much for joining today. And I'll say goodbye for now, and Godspeed.
Cool.